All right, welcome everyone to the Ultimate Advisors Resource Podcast. I'm Jordan.Pence. Our company is Advisors Resource Company. We help advisors like you write more insurance and annuities. And so today we've got an interesting topic, really talking about the positioning and why long-term care matters. So I brought Larry.Nisenson. We talked about this before. Well, people like me screw it up. So he's the chief sales officers at Allied. What?
Assured
Sorry,
allies, assured
Assured
allies.
Allied Partners. And I think so. So you guys really, I guess we're a part of this bridge product with American Equity. I've looked at that a couple of times, really interested in that. But furthermore, I think this is a very pertinent topic in 2026. We've got peak 65 with the population, aging out. And this sort of care discussion is becoming more and more popular with advisors. So I really wanted to bring an expert on for positioning and how to talk to clients about this. So, Larry, thanks for joining us. Um,
Thanks for having me, Jordan. I appreciate it.
so, just let's just start at the top. Why do you think, or why do you guys believe that long-term care planning is just such a critical conversation that clients need to have right now?
I mean, it's a critical conversation, period, hard stop. It's only made even more critical by what we would call the continued aging, right? The continuing of the graying society, the economy. We know the statistics, and certainly your advisors that are dialing in and listening know the statistics around the 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 every day, and that's going to run through 2030. It's interesting that 8,600 people a day now turn age 80, believe it or not. That's sort of the beginning of the baby boomers, right? So we're going to see this
That's a big
continued.
number
It's a
considering what's life expectancy nowadays. It's probably not
72,
beyond.
between 72
Yeah,
and
I was gonna
74,
say.
right? So think about it. We're only, I say this in a terrible way, we're losing 16% of them along the way, right? Who are passing away. However, those that are reaching age 80 are not doing so for the most part living independently. Like there are some enormous statistics that are just worth sort of using as a level set, right? We know that there are right now somewhere around 50 to 55 million people age 65 and above. That's the demographic. That's the pond we're fishing in. But
Sure.
there are 40 million family caregivers taking care of those 55 million people. That's mothers and daughters and sons, right? And spouses and neighbors and aunts and nephews, nieces, taking care of their loved ones to help them live as independently for as long as possible that they can. And I used to do a fair amount of consumer seminars. And for your advisors that are listening, you'll appreciate this, that I always started off every seminar around aging. And the business that I'm in is what I describe as sort of the financing of aging conversation. How do we help people figure out how to pay to grow old? And I would start every seminar off with consumers with the same question, which is, how many can't wait to move into a nursing home? Show of hands, put your hand up. Who wants to move into a nursing home? All right. And you'd imagine the answer is zero. Nobody.
I would assume it's pretty low.
Only one person ever, and I'm doing this for 30 years, one person one time raised their hand. And the reason they wanted to move into a nursing home was because his wife had already moved in and he wanted to go move in to be with her. But the reality of it is
I was gonna say it was just someone trying to be a smart aleck or something.
yeah, well,
That
that's a
too.
good point too. Maybe my brash New York attitude downplays the smart Alex in the room. I don't know, but the
It probably
reality
does,
of it
scares
is,
them off.
yeah. The reality of it is, nobody wants to go to a nursing home. Everybody, AARP studies prove it. Every aging study that you look at proves it. People want to age in place. They want to stay independent. They want to live on their own. But we know also these statistics are that 7 out of 10 people over the age of 65 are going to have a long-term care event. Doesn't mean they're all going to need a nursing home, but they're going to have something that impedes their ability to live on their own independently without some form of assistance.
So that's
And
70%.
70%. Now here's the
Wow.
but here's this crazy statistic. So now we know the pond that we're fishing in, right? It's
Oh, yeah.
40, 50, 60. Over the next decade, it'll go up to 80 million people over the age of 65. Let's call it 70% of them will not be able to do this completely on their own. And yet only 4% own a long-term care insurance policy. And so the mission that
Wow.
we're on, not just Assured Allies, my company, and not just EquiTrust, who we partnered with, but there's an entire industry built around trying to raise awareness, trying to raise education. And in the case of companies like ours, again, not the only one, but many out there, are trying to build modern versions that can help people pay to grow old. Again, it's the dilemma on how do you do so. And honestly, what's great about this opportunity to chat with you, Jordan, and your audience is the keys to the kingdom are controlled by the financial advisor. We know that, right? You want to get
Yep.
somebody to understand it, you've got to get a financial advisor to see the value.
Yep.
And so that's why it's such an amazing opportunity for me to chat with you and your audience today.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Larry. And, one thing that I hear a lot, um, from advisors about their clients when bringing up these conversations, and then I want to ask another follow up, but they always say, "Well, my client, they can self-insure. They have enough money to self-insure. They're self-insured." You hear this all the time, and it's like, uh, I I don't I have like a, negative reaction to it because it's like, that's such a lazy answer, it seems like. Um, so what is your take on that? And then I was just gonna ask you, what's like the biggest misconceptions that you see that clients or maybe other advisors have around long-term care or like the government helping them out and things like that?
Yeah,
So
first,
those two-part, I guess.
those are two amazing questions, by the way. And because we could spend a week, we're not going to obviously, but we could spend a week on both of those. But let me give you my answer on the self-insure. By the way, that is what we hear almost always. And it's
Yeah.
interesting to talk about this with advisors in particular, because nobody else would better understand the idea of long-term care insurance as an asset protection play. Like, I don't care how wealthy you are. This is a matter of proper leverage and protection across everything. You could make the same argument for somebody who's wealthy. Do they have auto insurance? Do they have a homeowner's insurance? Do they
Yeah,
have,
that's a really good
right?
point. Because yeah, like, if I'm worth $10,000,000, well, I can self-insure my cars, right? Like, I'll be alright.
Yeah, I mean, my house, why do I gotta, I'm worth 10 million, I got a $3 million house. Do I really need to buy homeowners insurance? I could just continue to invest that money. And as long as I can outpace, I'm not going to have a fire for, once every 20 years. If in 20 years I could use that money, you could make the argument really succinctly and make it make sense. But the reality of it is the reason most people self-insure is because they're unaware that there is a better way, right? That's what self-insurance if somebody actually was you know, uh, had an 8-figure net worth, right? A 9-figure
Yeah,
net worth and was like, look, I get it. It's too much of an annoyance for me. I'm just going to self-insure. Fine. The average long-term care event costs somebody a couple of $100,000. And so somebody who's worth 5, 10 million might very well do that. Doesn't still mean it's the right play because it's still a
right,
leverage play, but
right.
I would get it. The reality of it is most people who say I'm going to self-insure are really reliant on those family caregivers that we talked about, right? Those 40 million family caregivers are almost all related to somebody who was going to self-insure. And so what that does is they're not actually self-insuring with their own money. They're self-insuring with their family, their loved ones' time and energy. And having been a family caregiver for three of my loved ones, I can tell you that family caregiving is amazing in some ways, in the best ways. You spend more time. Who doesn't want to help their parents or loved one? But what I would also argue is it changes the dynamic of a family relationship. Your mother or father are your mother and
Yep.
father until you're caring for them, and you have to help them toilet. You have to help them shower. You have to help feed them. These are things that we do out of love, but I will tell you, it changes the dynamic of what is, especially in that last bit of time with a loved one. Is that what you want to remember? Is what you want to remember that I had to help my father or my mother, my loved one to go to the bathroom, to go to the shower? No, you want to enjoy that time as sort of like the last phase of a beautiful relationship. And long-term
Yeah.
care insurance allows you to bring in somebody to do just that. So self-insurance is an interesting topic, but what I would really argue is that most advisors, as I said earlier, they're the audience that really controls the purse strings, right? We know we're entering into the great wealth transfer of the of all time, right? $124 trillion is moving through generations. It's going from went from silent to the baby boomers to Gen X, all the way down $124 trillion. Almost all of that controlled through the advisory space. So we know
Oh,
in
yeah.
order, yeah, it's an amazing statistic, and I'm sure that it's going to happen, by the way, through from now through 2048 is what they're calling this great wealth transfer. And your advisors who are listening, I know that they feel it. They feel it because they're seeing their older clients set up wills and trusts and living benefits, and they're moving that money to their favorite charity or to their children through whatever trust documents that they have. But one of the things they're likely not doing is talking to them about their long-term care needs for really two reasons. Number one, it's not their area of expertise, right? Most financial advisors are amazing
That's a good
subject
point.
matter experts, right? In lots of things, but not long-term care insurance. And anything that they know about long-term care insurance, they learned through bad experiences. The long-term care insurance products of old were not what long-term care insurance products of today are. Old ones had
Yeah.
clients taking rate increases and calling up advisors angry. The old ones were crazy statistic, Jordan. Again, I don't love to, I know I feel like I'm chock full of them, but I'm trying to hold them at
I
bay. But
like them. I like it.
some of them jump out. In traditional long-term care insurance, it was hard enough to find a client who was healthy enough, hard enough to find a client that said yes, hard enough to find a client that had the money. But carriers declined to offer policies to 60% of those that
Wow.
wanted to buy it. So if you're a financial advisor, you're like, wait, I have my best client. I pre-sold them on the idea. I bring them in to insert the company, whoever the company is. By
Yeah.
the way, the process sucked, pardon my French, and sometimes it took up to 60 or 90 days to get a decision. And then you'd get a decision and it would be, no, they're declined. Like, what? What are you talking about? They don't walk on the
Yeah,
lot lest
that's
they want to buy, right? But in this case, we were
well,
telling
and
six
that's
of
like
them to get
one of
off.
those yeah, and that's one of those scenarios where, "Oh, I got burned once. I'm never doing that again," because I put the client through all this trouble, and then it came back declined, and now I've got egg on my you don't really have egg on your face, but it's like an awkward conversation.
It's
Um,
even worse than that because you alerted them now to a need that you can't solve,
that's even a better point, actually,
right? Like,
Larry. That's
wait,
a really good point.
I mean, I was always, I'm sure everybody listening to this was always told, don't surface a problem unless you can provide the solution. Nobody needs more problem identifiers. We need solutions. So here, I'm a financial advisor. I get somebody to realize I have to do this, and now I can't find a product for them. Like there's all of the right reasons that advisors shied away from these old products. And by the way, and then they started seeing rate increases. So clients would come back angry, like you told me it was going to be X, and now it's X times 2 or times 3. The great news is the modern version of long-term care products don't work like that. I'm not going to do a commercial for the bridge product, and I'll only use that as it's one of the examples, but this product is 100% medically guaranteed, and it's
Which I
done.
think is pretty powerful.
Yeah, and it's done, fully done from application to approval in less than an hour. It's done on a Zoom call like this. Matter of fact, some clients don't even have to do this. They just sign the application. So, and there's just one product. There are many others that work the same way. So for those advisors who were hesitant because they were embarrassed or their lives were made more difficult by the carrier, I get it. But the great news is there's plenty of new versions. The market has evolved just like the investment world has evolved. So the
Yeah.
that sort of helps on this sort of self-pay idea. The second question, I'm sorry
Well,
that
yeah,
we're yeah,
and
go for it.
and one thing I was thinking when you were talking, it's like if I'm gonna self pay versus use the insurance company's money, there's somewhat of a psychological, like I don't want to spend as much, right? Like I want to try to get the lowest. I want to spend as little as possible. Whereas, like if it's the insurance company's money, well, sure, let's buy the Cadillac if they're going to pay for that. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
so there's a little bit of that, like type of maybe psychological effect. When the insurance is company or when somebody else is paying, a third party is paying versus coming out of your own pocket.
For sure, and there's this compounded piece too. We wrote a piece that talks about the impact on a bear market. It's a one pager. I'm happy to send it to anybody. I'll give you my
Well,
contact information at the
we'll
end.
put it in
Yeah,
the description as a download.
awesome. And this talks about the impact of what we call a care market and a bear market, right? Like, so think about it this way. If you're self-insuring and the market, and we have a bull market and the market's taking off and somebody needs to liquidate, cool, no problem. I mean, the
No
tax
problem.
piece
Yeah, no
aside is
big
no
deal.
problem. But
Yeah.
imagine the impact in a bear market, a down market, when you get a call from a client that says, I'm moving into an assisted living. By the way, depending on where you live, that assisted living could cost up to $10,000 a month,
Jeez.
unplanned. Think about what the impact
Jeez.
is on a portfolio in a down market. And that 10,000, by the way, is a net number. So what do you have to liquidate in a down market to get to 10,000 if you've got somebody who's got accumulation through the roof, right? And again, I'm happy
Mhm.
to let you guys have access to this and
That's a
read
great
about it.
idea,
It's
yeah.
an amazing, we do the math for you, and the math is scary math. In a bull market, again, self-insuring, sure, I'll pair off a piece of whatever the
Doesn't
gains
matter.
were, it's no problem. The second reason that people self-insure, which gets to your earlier question, is there is this enormous misunderstanding of Medicare. There is this idea that once a client hits 65, right, all of a sudden the sky opens up, it's sunshine, it's candy canes, it's unicorns in the background, and the government is going to come in and pay their long-term care benefits. It is not. Long-term care benefits, which are non-medical related, right? What long-term care insurance covers are non-medical related expenses. Can you get up in the morning? Can you get out of bed? Can you shower? Can you feed yourself? Can you go to the bathroom? Can you move from point A to point B? That's what long-term care insurance covers. That's what family caregivers are coming in to do. That's what I did for my father, my mother, and my father-in-law. That's not picked up by Medicare. Medicare covers your
No.
medical costs, and for most people, a small, limited sliver of non-medical related costs. But this is the most misunderstood aspect of Medicare. And it's funny, I do a fair amount of work on the government relations side, both at the state and federal level. And one of the things I scream, literally, you can see how enthusiastic I get. I scream at the top of my lungs about why aren't the states doing a better job of telling people we're not covering these items because people think that they are. And it's a
That's a really good point.
it's
Why are they
terrible.
not,
Yeah.
um and maybe they don't. I mean, the government, regardless of your opinion, is not the most competent organization on marketing or doing anything like that, so that's probably part of it,
You
but,
almost made me choke over that. I'm in such violent agreement with you on that.
but, um, so earlier you mentioned, old, like, traditional long-term care is what I call it compared to I've been calling it asset-based long-term care, like products like the bridge or like
Yes.
the life-based solutions and the other annuity-based solutions. But maybe outside of like the guarantee, like you can always get into the bridge product. And I guess I will ask a question later on about, well, how do they do that? Like, how do you have a guaranteed issue on a long-term care? But then maybe give a brief overview of the difference between traditional LTC versus, like the new versions, which
Yeah.
I've called asset-based long-term care. I don't know what you guys call it.
Yeah, no, it is asset-based LTC, and it's to your point, Jordan, comes in like really two different main flavors, right? Flavor A is on a life chassis. Think Money Guard is an example of that, right? From Lincoln, a great product, been around for 40 years, and there's lots of other versions of that. And they sit
Secure
on a
Care,
variety of,
Nationwide's
yeah,
got
they
one.
sit on a
Yeah.
variety of chassis. Some are on a whole life or on an IUL or a UL, whatever your favorite poison is and flavor of those. And then there's the annuity marketplace, right? And they also take the form of a couple of different kinds. There's Nationwide just launched another one. Is the EquiTrust Bridge product that we're talking about that we happen to be the co-creators of. So I use that one as an example often because it's the one I know the best.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of other ones out there. There's the Global Atlantic has a version of it, and there's a One America version. So there's two different sort of versions, one on an annuity chassis. And we tell people the main difference between these two is what's the end goal, right? The benefit of asset-based LTC is that it does two things. By the way, it's not like a Swiss Army knife that does two things in a poor way. This does two things again, the modern version. It is either driving towards annuity accumulation, right? Or income. There's one or two that are income, but this is around needing the money during your life, or it's life based, leaving money to your ultimate beneficiary. And both of them say if you need long-term care insurance coverage, though, whether it's on an annuity or on a life, you get leverage into that also. So unlike standalone, where you're not putting any money in, you're not getting the double benefit of growth or leaving a pool of money to your loved ones or your favorite charity, traditional standalone long-term care insurance is the one that most people think of in the really poor way. That's where
Yeah.
somebody's paying a couple of $1,000 a month or a year, rather, I should say, not a month. And they're getting some pool of long-term care coverage. That that has really fallen out of favor over the last 20 years.
And that's
Um,
more like health insurance, really, if you think
it,
about it.
it is in some ways, you're exactly right. And usually the main objection, by the way, you get the best leverage for long-term care through that. You're paying a couple
Certainly.
thousand and you
Yeah.
get more coverage, but it's almost generally always use it or lose it, right? If you're in the 70% that I mentioned earlier, great news, you'll have coverage. But if you don't need it, then like homeowners insurance or car insurance where you've paid for
Term
something,
insurance.
right? Term insurance, if you don't collect on it, you've covered yourself, but you don't have anything that you retain as a benefit. The asset based products, whether again the annuity or the life asset based, have an ultimate end. There's what we call ultimate mortality coverage for it, right? And and that's really the modern version of what long-term care insurance looks like. There are companies out there, by the way, still doing traditional, and there's nothing wrong with traditional LTC, but we've seen the most growth from both the market sizing and the most innovation in the asset-based long-term care space, of which you've referenced. So, yeah,
Well, and it seems like even the current or the big negative with traditional LTC is the non-guaranteed premiums essentially.
yes,
Like I don't think there's any offer that has like guaranteed premiums for life. And so that's what you can offer in the I guess I'm sort of speaking for you, but that is what you can offer in the asset-based life or asset-based annuity is the fact that you know predictably how much you can get and so forth,
that's
in
that's
long-term care benefit and how
it.
much it costs.
That's exactly right. I'm only going to touch on maybe two other quick points about the asset class themselves. So you're spot on in saying on the standalone products, none of them are premium guaranteed, right? They've gotten smarter in the way they built these, so we shouldn't see the complete mismatch on premium to benefit. So you shouldn't see these huge rate increases in newer products. And there's lots of reasons why that happened. We don't have time to go through.
Yeah,
The other,
mispriced, whatever,
yeah,
all the other
y-
issues.
yeah. The other really important part is, and again, I think your audience would appreciate this more than most, is the tax leverage that's created through asset-based LTC. And they offer different tax advantages, right? We know on the life LTC hybrid markets, we know how tax treatment it goes to beneficiaries, right? There's a tax advantage investing for those that are looking for those products. If they prefer that and need long-term care coverage, a life contract is amazing.
Yeah.
The annuities offer an even more enhanced that might be less well known to your audience that I want to just maybe spend a minute.
I
And
think you should because I think I know what you're gonna say,
yeah,
but if you don't say it, I'll ask you about it.
absolutely. And I want to draw a distinction about what I'm going to say, because when we talk about asset-based annuity long-term care, what we're not talking about in what I'm going to describe are the income doublers that have accelerated riders or the chronic illness products that have
It's totally
acceleration
different.
riders. Those are not included. There's nothing wrong with those products, by the way. They're, if you're buying them for income and they have a benefit around needing care and getting access to money, more power to you. I'm not, but that, but in what I'm going to describe, the only ones that qualify are true, what we call extension of benefit long-term care products. That's where there's a true long-term care leverage on it, not an acceleration. There's a separate pool. Okay. Those annuity products have something called um, the only way I can describe it is an example of the government not understanding what it created. The left hand not knowing what the right hand did. It gets back,
Imagine that,
Jordan, to
Larry.
your, it's shocking. The, what you mean? Wait, inefficiencies? But it's not a loophole. They just, and they don't, not looking to correct it. They just didn't put it all together. And this is what I mean. The federal government allows for qualified long-term care benefits to be used income tax free. So, and this is why I draw the distinction between the acceleration riders. They don't get this benefit. But if it's true long term care for those that want to geek out on it, it's actually IRS code 7702B is what is qualified long term care insurance, meaning that you have to have severe cognitive impairment or fail on two of the six activities of daily living that I just detailed earlier. And it needs to be severe and permanent. Okay. That's the rule. If you qualify for that, what you take out for long term care benefits comes out income tax free. It's amazing.
It's great. I mean,
What they
it's
didn't,
fantastic.
yeah, what they didn't recognize when they put the Pension Protection Act in play is that caught up in this amazing benefit also happens to be non-qualified, meaning non-retirement qualified deferred annuities that have an extension of benefit long-term care rider on it. So think of this. You have a
It's a huge
tax deferred.
opportunity, I
It's
think.
ridiculous. It's crazy that you could
I'm glad
have
you brought this
somebody.
up.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the story, and then I'm gonna give you a statistic that's nuts that maybe will make your advisor start to think about this a little bit more. You can have somebody who's got built up tax deferred accumulated growth for 20 years. We know they've kept it in, whether they've rolled it into a different annuity or not, doesn't matter. They've never paid a dollar of taxes on this money. They can 1035 that accumulated market value into a tax LTC qualified long-term care asset-based annuity. Again, there's 4 of them out there. So pick your favorite one and get leverage. So in the case of Bridge, again, I'm using that only because I know the product better. They all have a version of this. So feel free, if you love the Nationwide product or one of the other ones, feel free. But in the case of Bridge, if you put a 65-year-old into Bridge, and let's say you rolled $200,000 over, that's going to get a multiplier on that of over 3. So that 200,000 creates over $600,000 of long-term care benefit. And if they need to use the long-term care benefit, every dollar comes out income tax free, and it's indemnity based. So you don't even have to give, in the case of Bridge, you don't even have to give them receipts, and it's all legal. This isn't even us like on the, like, hey, come down the
You're not
alley,
stretching it in
sign it. Yeah,
a
this is nothing. This is perfectly legal, and it is the most amazing aspect of these Pension Protection Act based LTC products.
I I think it's a huge planning opportunity too, because yeah, you've got to. It doesn't even matter the specifications, right? I've got 100,000 of basis, and it's now worth 500,000, and you roll it into the Bridge or any other LTC annuity, and now you're taking distributions for long term care, and you turn something that was 80% taxed into zero tax.
It really is an
Well,
enormous. It's the enormity of it again, and I'm going to give you the backdrop. The backdrop is there's this great wealth transfer, right? So we know people are in their planning stage, and for an advisor, the question simply is, what have you done around your long-term care, long-term care coverage? Because here's the thing: the accumulation side of this conversation is a fixed indexed annuity or a traditional fixed annuity. These are conversations advisors are used to having. This isn't a foreign conversation. Matter of fact, there are some that are coming to market that are on RILAs. So there's plenty of flavors around this. Limmer just released the 2025 results. Over $500 billion of uh, annuities were sold in 2025. So it's not like
wow.
a niche product. And by the way, the
No.
crazy thing, that's another statistic that I just saw, is that in 2026, and I want the advisors that are listening to this, I want your brain to go to who of my clients fit this. It's always the way I was taught to think about things, is who do I know that could benefit this? There are
Yeah, that's the point.
$66 billion of annuities coming out of surrender in 2026.
I believe it.
That is money in motion and an opportunity for your advisors to reposition assets. And this is one of those places that you can give them this amazing, it doesn't matter which version of it, you can give them something that will both cover their long-term care needs and allow them to either, if they're looking for accumulation still on the annuity front, go that route. If they're looking on the life side, go that route. But you're also doing something that has been the goal of every advisor I've ever spoken to. I was a failed advisor, by the way. I got into the advisory business in 1995, and within a year realized that is an amazing job, but not for me, right? So I have a thimbleful to appreciate how difficult it is to be an advisor. And there's always this piece about wanting to do great things for my advisor and get to the panacea of advisory, which is to get to the next generation, right? That's it.
Yep.
Anybody who can do that, it's like this amazing thing that you've done because you've gotten to the beneficiaries early enough before they've made decisions with their own advisor. This
Yep.
product set allows you to bring the beneficiaries of your best clients into the fold because what you're putting in place, this long-term care-based annuity solutions or life solutions, you're doing for their benefit. They are the ones who benefit from this, and it's a huge opportunity.
That really is. That really is, and I think I think that conversation around it's just almost a conversation around, like you said, what is your plan if you need long-term care? And then furthermore, hey, you've got this deferred annuity that you're not spending down. What's your plan for that? And if they die with it, that's going to be a negative. So, well, tax wise, it's going to be a negative.
Exactly.
So why not reposition it in case you need the care or whatever the case may be,
I
which I think is pretty interesting.
and maybe just one other, maybe it's an exclamation point on this particular piece is, look, it's really hard to introduce new topics, new ideas. I mean, I think about the number of ETFs, the number of investment options, the complexity of the world, right?
Good
And
point.
and advisors are have I mean this in the sense that they have the most difficult job. They have to take this entire universe and synthesize it down to explain it to folks who are not financial professionals. It is super complicated stuff. And
Good point.
it's not like it's static. It's not like we created these and then said to the advisors, just go learn it. You're good to go. No, we continue to bring more complex solutions and more, right? You know, it's impossible to stay above and to be able to meet with clients and do all this.
It's hard.
My the exclamation point that I want to put on this is you do not have to do this alone, especially as it relates to long-term care related stuff. It's
Yeah,
super complicated. I
it
imagine
is.
that most advisors these days outsource to somebody else. And for those that want to learn more, again, I'm going to give you our website. We stood up a distributor learning center where advisors, agents that want to understand more about the solutions can go to. I will get you that information. We can attach it to this. There's
Yeah,
no
that'd be
cost to
great.
any of the tools. All we're trying to do is help advisors have the conversation. And if you need help finding somebody to speak with on that's a licensed agent or somebody I know, most everybody has that covered, but I don't make any more money or any less money if we connect people together. But I know how important the topic is, and I don't want people to be like, well, this is great, but I don't have time to learn
What do
about
I do?
long-term care. Like, I'm sorry. And just don't, so if we can help, we're always happy to do that.
So, before we thanks for that, Larry. Before we, like, wrap this up, um, like, any other things you wanna add about specifically the bridge product that makes it somewhat unique? You mentioned indemnity, which I think is great. I had one, uh, question about, like, how are we gonna do guaranteed issue on everybody no matter what? And I'm assuming there's some sort of grading and eventually you get to the full benefits, but maybe you could speak a little bit for that. And then what should advisors be thinking about with long-term care? And, you know, obviously, reach out to us. We're happy to help. Reach out to Larry's team, whatever. But yeah. So what do you think?
Yeah, it's a great question. And again, I'm and just as maybe just 2 seconds of backdrop, so I can give you the why I feel qualified to answer the question is, I've spent 30
Yeah.
years on the carrier side. Before I came over to Assured Allies, I spent 30 years on the carrier side, working at Allstate, at AIG, at AXA, at Genworth, And all of that time was spent in building products and marketing and distribution around, again, sort of the financing of aging in these products. And so a lot of what I have spent time doing is building the products and working with our actuarial teams to price the product. And the question that you ask about how we could do it on a guaranteed basis is a question I get when we're talking to carriers about new products. And they're like, wait, how are we doing this? And we're doing it because the advantage of an asset-based LTC product, unlike the standalone products, right? One of the learnings is that we don't have to bear, the carrier doesn't have to bear all of the risk to cover the long-term care needs, that there are trade-offs and levers to move around, right? In the bridge product and in all of the asset-based care products, whether it's an annuity or life,
Yeah.
it's around whose money is being used first, right? And the way these products work is we're using that asset base, the annuity in the case of bridge or in the others, and those are the first dollars that come out to cover long-term care. So, right, the fly in the ointment, the Achilles heel, the reason an advisor might look at it and say, wait, it's not what I'm looking for, is that they're using their client's money first, and then they're using the insurance company's money second. But my
Makes sense.
counter to that is, if you self-insure, you're using all of your money, right? Like, this allows
It's a
you,
really good point.
yeah, like, this allows you to use somebody else's money and not have to pay for that leverage. So in the case of bridge, there is, as you said perfectly, Jordan, there's a vesting schedule, right? And that
Okay.
vesting schedule means just on the LTC leverage, their money is always, by the way, because it's annuity, they have 10% that they can get out. They have all the same stuff, right? They can, the end of the surrender period, they can move it if they want to. It's an annuity. They have
Sure.
all that same stuff.
Yeah.
But the way we protect the carrier is that there is a vesting schedule of, it vests over a 4-year period. But in the first day of the 5th year, all of that leverage is available to them. So in the case of putting in 200 and having 600, from years 1 to 5, it goes from like 140 to 180 to 250, et cetera, all the way up to get full leverage. And
So even in the first couple of years, you're getting some leverage anyways. I mean,
on the
it's not,
first day, you're getting 20% leverage.
yeah. So
So
it's not,
yeah,
I mean, that's still a pretty good deal, all things considered.
yeah, it's a great deal, and it has on top of it, and each of them offer a version of this, but in the case of Bridge, it offers a 3% guaranteed, think of it as a COLA on the LTC benefit. So that LTC benefit grows at 3% a year every year for 20 years. So, you can do the rule of 72 backwards and figure out that even the LTC benefit, if it doesn't go up on its own, will go up because of the COLA increase. And the way they get their money out of Bridge, when they go on claim, it's indemnity based. So once it starts, we send your client 60 months, 60 payments. So if the LTC benefit is, I'm going to do simple math because I'm a simple guy. Let's say it's $240,000, right? That's what their LTC benefit is. We divide that by 60, right? And we're going to send them $4,000 a month like clockwork. They don't send in a receipt. They don't have to call and make sure we're sending it. We don't come back 6 months later and say, wait, you didn't give us and this. We don't even care what the client does with the money, honestly.
Just,
Doesn't
just
matter.
send them the checks till
It's
they
we se-
die, I guess.
until they either run through the 60 months or until they die. And if they die and there's any benefit left of their annuity benefit, just to be clear, I don't want to get caught up in that. We send the beneficiaries what's left. So it's super friendly for clients and advisors. We want to make it as easy. It has international benefits. So if somebody retires and they want to spend their life living in Portugal or somewhere else, as long as they get
Doesn't matter.
certified in the US that they need it, we don't care what they do with the money. They have to have a US bank
Wow.
account. That's the government rules, not us. But we want to make this as easy as we can for advisors and for their clients.
Yeah, I like the indemnity style for sure. I mean, reimbursement has its own somewhat negatives,
Yeah.
and that makes sense. I mean, I guess to your point also that we were making earlier about the 1035 exchange, man, if somebody is going into a nursing home tomorrow, even like there might be some benefit to rolling uh, annuity money into this product, or even just buying the product. You know,
We have people in I'll say this amongst a bunch of, seasoned, advisor insurance people. This is literally the fog the mirror test that we always talk about on the life insurance side, right? Like, which means they could be in care already and buy this. It is 100% medically guaranteed. We don't do any health record check. It is literally 5 questions, and none of them preclude them from getting it. So somebody who's in care, we have
fog the
plenty of
mirror.
people. Yeah, you like that, right? It's
I do
literally,
like that.
that's what it takes. And you could be in a nursing home and buy this, and I often get questions from people, "Well, why would they do it?" And they would do it because if they've got a deferred annuity, they're gonna get the best tax treatment on the withdrawal of that annuity, and if they're doing it for cash, right, like they have money to put in, they still get to get some accumulation on this,
Mm-hmm.
and then they can take the money out as they need it, so it's a tax play for people.
100%.
And
Yeah.
it's a great strategy, by the way. And Jordan, I'll make this stuff available for you, and you can make it, of course, available. We have plenty of ways to illustrate these tax advantages. We have some calculators on our website, and we can make that available through you. And
Oh, I like
there's
that.
there's
Yeah,
plenty
that's
of
great.
ways for advisors to show clients how the benefit of this works.
No, that's fantastic. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate your time. It's really interesting stuff. It's pretty. I guess exciting is not exactly the right word, but I think it's just like an important conversation, and I think a lot of advisors, yeah, they might be scared to get burned by something like this. You know, like the traditional LTC. They might just have this opinion about self-insuring that I think is, as we've discussed, somewhat maybe inaccurate, and I think they need to have more deeper discussions about this, specifically around care. How are you going to plan for the care, and not just leaving it up to chance, or leaving it to um, you know um, just funding from the portfolio, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
And I think it's an important conversation.
I look. This is the business I'm in, so of course, it is always in the front of the mind, but it's I get it. There's especially it's not a pleasant conversation. Nobody says, "God, let's talk about my mortality and let's talk about when I have to need help going to the bathroom." It's not fun. But
No,
every
no.
client, unless they die of a heart attack, right? And go like that before they need care is going to think about their morbidity. They're going to think about it in a different way. They're going to think about it about it's hard to get out of bed. I can't do this. I can't do that. We know that that's morbidity and it's not a fun topic. But the role of our advisory, right, groups are not about having fun. It's about having meaningful, important conversations to protect their clients. I'm going to leave you with one quick story if I can.
Love it. Yes, please.
I I think it's only a matter of time until we start to see billboards from attorneys saying things like the following. Did you get less inheritance than you thought? Did your loved ones lose it because their planner didn't do their job? So if they're not talking at least about long-term care needs, and they don't have something in the file around KYC that says, "I spoke with Mrs. Jones and Mr. Jones about how they were gonna pay for their long-term care needs," I believe that that's exposing advisors, especially advisors who are holistic planners. It's potentially exposing them to liability. Maybe not tomorrow, but it's only a matter of coming. What we know about personal injury attorneys is when they see blood in the water, they're going to go hard at that thing. And I hate to think about advisors who are going to be caught up in it because they were afraid to bring up something they didn't understand. Today's versions of long-term care are super easy to talk about. They're very consumer
Yep.
friendly. And I would encourage you to find out more and then reach out for help, either to
Yep.
Jordan or to us or to whomever you trust in the space to
Yep.
learn more and get yourself prepared.
I
So
totally agree with that assessment, Larry, and I think there's even some precedent in Canada around a different product about it. I don't know if you've heard that story around
yes.
critical illness riders,
Yeah.
which we don't need to talk about that now, but there is some precedent in Canada, and I think you're 100% right, and I think especially if you hold yourself as a financial planner, if you have an insurance license, um, I mean, you're probably open to a potential problem, and it's just like somebody told me long ago, never surrender never recommend to a client to surrender a life insurance policy, because if they die the next day, the family's going to come out. Who are they going to come after? The person who recommended to surrender the life insurance policy, you
For
know?
sure, for sure.
So
So, thank you again for the time. It was great
thanks,
speaking with
Larry.
you. I hope this was helpful, and,
This is
thanks
great. Yeah.
thanks for having me again.
Thanks, Larry. Good to speak with you. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. And we'll put all the downloads in the description that we discussed today and let us know if you want any more information. Thanks.